Welcome to the Women on Fire podcast. We're on a mission to help you have your best menopause and rest of your life. I'm your host, Jenna Moore. I'm an accredited integrative health and menopause coach, and I've studied nutritional awareness, women's hormones through a functional medicine lens, and explored various modalities, including breathwork, mindset, and positive psychology. Join me and my guests as we discuss how to navigate the natural life transition of menopause and growing older. From waistlines, waning libidos, and what to wear now we're over 40, we discuss it all. Women on Fire is sponsored by MenoMe, a New Zealand-based company by women for women. MenoMe specialises in scientifically validated all-natural supplements so you can experience freedom in menopause. Within our gut system, we have trillions and trillions of bacteria, fungi, and viruses, and they are both good bacteria and bad bacteria. They're collectively known as our microbiome, our microbiota, our gut flora. They go by a few different names, and what we want there is a really abundant population of the good guys, the good bugs, good bacteria, and a diverse population of the good bacteria as well. So the main job of our gut is the digestive system to process food. But it's also there to maintain our immunity, because a lot of us don't realise that 70 to 80% of immune cells live in there. It also produces 95% of our serotonin, which is a neurotransmitter often called our happy hormone. There's also some dopamine in there as well, who's in the same family as serotonin as well. So it's a very big influence on not just our digestion, but also our immunity and our mood, which is really key for women in midlife and women going through perimenopause, any stage of menopause actually. And the old adage used to be, you are what you eat, okay? But now that we know what we know, that's probably changed more to you are what your microbiome eats. But it's also you are what you absorb. Because if we don't have a lovely, healthy gut populated with lots of gorgeous good bugs, then we are not going to absorb nutrients as well. So that's really key to know. The other thing that helps our gut work beautifully is fiber from food and supplements and water. All important water, right? Because it helps to move the food through, and it helps us excrete. What we don't need is poop. So it works. We put food in our mouth, we chew, we swallow, it travels down that tube there, the gastrointestinal tract, to our stomach and our intestines, where it's broken down and absorbed, or it travels down to the end, to the anus, and it's eliminated. Now, the thing about microbiome and menopause research is that it's really tiny. There's not a lot of research out there. There's not even a lot, in comparison to other topics, of overall gut health research out there, but it's growing. And the same thing is this menopause microbiome link. It's tiny, but it is growing, and it's definitely there. So it can make a big difference to your menopause journey. So we've got to talk about the gut-brain axis, which is also a bit of a buzzword, I think, but it incorporates physical and emotional sides to us, because the brain and the gut are connected by the vagus nerve. So it's all a big network of nerves, and it affects both physical and mental well-being. The interesting thing here, though, is that our gut actually has its very own sophisticated nervous system, and that's called the enteric nervous system. Often it's shortened to END, and it's often why you'll hear the gut being referred to as being the second brain in our body, because it has millions and millions of neurons in there that send messages all around to our body. And it's in constant communication with our brain and our central nervous system. So that's why it's called the gut-brain axis. and that physical and mental connection, like they are very interconnected. They can basically feel each other's pain. So if they're all working synergistically in harmony, then that's a great thing. A bit like our hormones, actually. But the interesting thing about the enteric nervous system, or the gut nervous system, is it can operate independently of our brain and our central nervous system. So an example, a simple example of that might be if you're feeling depressed or anxious and your appetite shifts. That could be to do with your enteric nervous system. So menopause and the microbiome. Okay, so a healthy gut equals diverse fungi, bacteria, and viruses, also known as microbiome, gut flora, microbiota, etc. I think we've established that. Now, a review in the Journal of Clinical Medicine 2021 found a link to estrogen levels. So, as most of us know, one of the hallmarks of menopause is a decline in estrogen, or specifically estradiol, because we have a family of estrogens. So estradiol is the estrogen most dominant during our fertile years, and this is what's reducing in menopause, even though in perimenopause it will go through peaks and troughs at times. But as it goes down in our bodies, so does the diversity of our microbiome. So menopause equals less population of good uh, gut bacteria and less diversity. And the interesting thing there is that some data on postmenopausal women showed that their microbiome was more similar to males. So it's definitely linked. There is definitely an estrogen microbiome link. So just to recap there, you have more bugs in your gut than you actually have cells in your body. Literally trillions of them. It's quite amazing, really. And what we want, what we're aiming for is an abundance of good guys, but a balance of both good and bad. They need to be balanced. We do need the bad guys in there as well. We just don't want too many of them. And we want a diverse population of them, or dysbiosis occurs. Now, dysbiosis means an imbalance of these good and bad bacteria. And you're going to hear the term dysbiosis a lot over the next half an hour or so. So, a healthy gut also can support a better perimenopause and postmenopause. So it's very key. It's very key to women in midlife. It's crucial to how we feel and how we go through our journey. So what's happening with the gut and menopause? So as we've established, estradiol lessens. What also happens naturally during menopause is cortisol, or the stress hormone, increases. And that's a big deal because it puts us into what is known as a pro-inflammatory state. So we can become more susceptible to aches and pains and things like dementia, weight gain, our bone density and bone strength can diminish, anxiety and depression. As well, what happens is gut motility, or the transition of food through that gut process, that digestive process, that can slow. And our stomach acid that we need to help with the breakdown of food also reduces. These just happen as we grow older and naturally. Another digestive fluid that's made by the liver and stored in the gallbladder, and it helps us digest fats, and that's bile that also reduces at this time. So what this can do is it can disrupt that beautiful rhythm that's going on in this ecosystem we call our gut, and lead to dysbiosis, which, as I just mentioned before, is an imbalance of good and bad bacteria, which is a less than optimally healthy gut. So this can look like bloating, flatulence, constipation, and weight gain. It can also lead to food sensitivities or intolerance, and the most common of these can be, and even if you've never experienced them before, but these can be dairy, gluten, refined carbohydrates, meats, and fats. That last one, the fats, is linked to that bile lessening. So there's a lot of change going on, but it's not all bad. Okay. Other changes that can happen at the beginning, when I spoke a little bit about how nutrient absorption can be impeded by a less than optimal gut, so that we may not absorb nutrients as well as we once did, and also poop changes, okay? And that can be the length or firmness of your stools, the ease at which you pass them, and the regularity with which you pass them. And actually, research published in the Menopause Journal showed that if you experience constipation, it can be associated with more severe menopause symptoms. So it's really in our best interest to put pooping up on that priority list. Over time, also, what can happen during these changes is, because the gut has a natural barrier or wall that helps keep it all protected, and everything that should stay in there doing its good, or doing its work. But over time, what can happen with this disruption or dysbiosis is that wall can weaken, and something like leaky gut can occur, which is when toxins, bacteria, and proteins like gluten can leak into the bloodstream. And this can cause inflammation, which we do not want. It can it's also believed to be behind some autoimmune diseases, but it can also lead to more severe symptoms like those headaches and mood swings, weight gain, aches and pains. So, what we're attributing to hormonal shifts, which obviously play a big role as well, but they could also be improved by improving your gut health as well. So, it's all interconnected. So, what can you do to love your gut? So it's going to love you right back. There is lots you can do. We're going to go through 12 daily habits. And as I said, if you don't do all of these, then don't try and take everything on overnight. Just implement them slowly. But you will transform not just your gut, but your life and your menopause journey, actually. Because this is all good advice for you. Helping you, supporting your hormones as well. So, number one, tweak your diet. Go for a naturally inflammatory diet, which is a Mediterranean style diet. Um, we suggest phytoestrogens, proteins, good fats, and fiber on the website. So do go into the library there and look that up. But certainly that's anti-inflammatory, and we want to avoid inflammation at all costs, particularly as just by being in midlife and menopause we are pro-inflammatory. And so avoiding sugar, dairy, wheat also, because these affect microbiome diversity. Hydrate. Drink lots of lovely, pure, filtered water. If you can get a water filter, so much the better, because there are additives in just plain tap water. Eat high fiber foods, which are prebiotics that feed the lovely probiotics that you want an abundant and diverse population of. So high fiber foods, fresh fruit and veg, legumes, onion, garlic, brown rice, nuts and seeds, like just really beautiful. An emphasis on plants and an emphasis of living from the land, trees and gardens and things. Eat the rainbow. Go for that 30 different fresh fruit and veggies a week in Technicolor. And you will just become so vibrant, you won't believe it. Add in phytoestrogens. So phyto stands for plant, and estrogen stands for estrogen, obviously. Now, these are plant estrogens, which are similar to the body's natural estrogen, and they can support a healthy estrobiome. These are things like chickpeas, tofu, tempeh, and lentils, but it's not limited to that. You can actually find a free phytoestrogen food list on our website at MenoMe.com. Meno, hyphen me.com. So grab that there. I'll put the link in the chat when I'm in chat as well for you. Feast on fermented foods because these are really rich in live fat bacteria, and these include kefir, yogurt, sauerkraut, and there are some wonderful versions and flavors of sauerkraut out there now. Miso, kimchi, and apple cider vinegar. Wonderful stuff, wonderful. Chew slowly and often. And I know that sounds silly, to try and chew for a long time slowly. I know. But the beautiful thing is in your saliva, you have enzymes that help with that food breakdown process. So that's why that's recommended. Move that beautiful body of yours, not in a really harsh full on way because that will then tip you over into stress mode. But beautiful moderate exercise can enhance those good gut guys, and also it supports your liver and estrogen. So we want that. Avoid stressful situations. I know when we were talking about stress before, you were probably rolling your eyes because how can you get away from stress? Life in the 21st century is stressful. Yeah, get that. So the caveat there is as much as possible. And perhaps if you can incorporate some processes that work with your vagus nerve and help you tolerate stress so much better, that's a great thing. And these can include breath work and meditation and mindfulness. Yoga has some wonderful moves in there and breath work as well. And it's not woo woo, it's actually necessary and it's nurturing self care and so good for sanity as well. Rest, digest, and sleep. Like the tummy loves a good rest, especially at night. So I always recommend closing the kitchen 3 to 4 hours before bed. So it has time, the digestion has time to do its thing before you're going to sleep, so it won't disrupt your sleep as much, and sleep is the ultimate rejuvenation time. Now, yes, I get that sleep issues can be common during perimenopause and beyond, but bringing uh, into your life a lot of these points here or daily habits here will also help you with sleep. And again, we have a sleep free sleep sheet on the website if you'd like to go there and download that too. That's Meno, M-E-N-E, sorry, M-E-N-E, M-E-N-O hyphen me, M-E dot com. Number 11 is poop. I mean, I hope by now you realize how important pooping is. Not for you, just even for your gut, but also for your life. Aim for at least once a day. You're looking for long sausage shape that's soft, firm in texture, and is pain free and strain free to pass. And that fiber will help you so much there. And that blue poop test will also tell you how you're going as well. And number 12, I kind of gave a page on all on its own because, as I alluded to before, the word symbiotic, that might not be a term that you've heard before, so it could be a complete life changer for you to add into these daily habits. So I wanted to explain it more. And to do that, I need to go into probiotics, prebiotics, which I'm sure you're all very well familiar with, as well as symbiotics. So, just to reiterate, probiotics, we all have good and bad bacteria in our bodies, and probiotics are the gorgeous good bacteria that we want an abundant, diverse population of. We encourage as many good bugs in our body as we can. Prebiotics are non digestible fibers from food and supplements, and probiotics just thrive on them. Like nourish and flourish, I said before, if you nourish your probiotics with prebiotics, they're going to flourish, and that's what we want. Symbiotics is the new term, and this is what you might love. Well, I do, because it's a blend of both of these things, probiotics and prebiotics, and the pairing work together in the digestive tract to create magic, basically. Thank you for listening to this episode of Women on Fire. If you love what we share, please subscribe and give us a rating and or a review. In addition, visit the MenoMe YouTube channel where you can subscribe and watch all of the interviews. That's the best way to support this podcast so we can continue to bring it to you. Thank you for your interest in midlife, menopause, and Women on Fire.
Let's keep this